Most chess games are won by a chess tactic. That means that if you learn the tactics in this video, you will win more chess games and you'll do it with style and brilliant moves. What could be better than more wins and more brilliant moves in your chess games? So, what is a chess tactic? A chess tactic is a forcing move or a sequence of moves in a chess game that achieves some desired outcome, usually the win of material. But the outcome might be something like checkmate, a positional advantage, or even a draw from a desperate position. Most tactics are recognizable patterns in a chess game, and they have names. Being able to name and identify different chess tactics will help you spot them more quickly in your own games. Here is a crash course with chess tactics featuring spectacular and instructive examples of each. Our first chess tactic is barely won, but even games between Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura have been decided by it. A hanging piece is simply a piece that is under attack and can be freely captured, winning material. If you don't hang your pieces and you capture the ones your opponent hangs, you will win most of your games as a newcomer to chess.com. Related to hanging pieces is an important term, LPDO, loose pieces drop off. It's one of the most helpful phrases in tactics. It's a reminder to keep your pieces defended and to keep an eye out for undefended pieces in your opponent's camp.
Gotta move.
Oh,
no more
checks.
Oh, and what's happened there?
What happened?
We see a reaction. Magnus' mouth.
Oh no!
A hanging checkmate is similar to a hanging piece. It is just a checkmate that your opponent has not defended against. Like this time that Hikaru hung checkmate against Magnus, but Magnus didn't see it.
Oh my god. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Next, we have the big four of chess tactics. These are by far the most common tactics, and if you just learn these tactics from this video, you will win a lot more chess games. First, a double attack is exactly what it sounds like. You create two threats with one move. For example, attacking two pieces, or maybe attacking a piece and threatening checkmate. Next, a fork is the most common form of double attack. One piece moves and attacks two different pieces. In this classic example, white sacrifices the queen to make way for this gorgeous knight check. The knight attacks both the king and queen, a special case known as a royal fork. White bags the queen on the next turn. A pin is when an attacked piece cannot move, because doing so would allow the capture of a more valuable piece hiding behind it. An absolute pin is one where moving the pin piece is illegal, because the piece in hiding is the king, and you are not allowed to make a move that puts the king in check. A relative pin is one where you can move the pin piece, you just don't want to, because you will lose material. Here's a great example from a world championship challenger, Viktor Korchnoi. He captured this defended pawn because after the queen captured, rook d7 pinned the queen, and white was guaranteed to capture the queen on the next move. You will also see spectacular examples of unpins, tactics that break a pin, like this one where white shocked black by sacrificing the queen to free the pinned rook on f2 to deliver a checkmate on the back rank. Finally, among our big four, we have discoveries, or discovered attacks. These are when a piece moves out of the path of another piece, unveiling a threat in hiding. Our previous example of a double attack included a discovered attack, as one of the threats, bishop takes f7 check, is a discovered attack to win the black queen. Discovered checks are special types of discoveries, where the revealed attack is a check, and double checks are the most powerful form of discovery. Both the piece moving to reveal the attack and the attacker give check. Double checks force the opponent's king to move out of the check, allowing you to follow up by executing any threat that the opponent wishes they could have stopped last move instead of moving their king. I used a double check recently to finish a spectacular forced checkmate. After sacking my queen, I gave this double check, which forced my opponent's king to the h-file, where I was able to checkmate it. This next batch of tactics is all about lines, setting up threats to pieces arranged on the same rank, file, or diagonal on the board. Pins and discoveries are already examples of linear tactics, but these are a bit more sophisticated and rare. First, a cross pin is the most satisfying of all pins. You pin a piece in two directions. These seem visually impossible and can be hard to spot. Here, black cross-pinned with queen to d7. Queen c8 also worked. This led to a winning attack after white captured, and the queen leapt in to assault the white king. A skewer is the opposite of a pin. You threaten a less valuable piece, forcing it to move, but then you capture a piece hiding behind it. Many skewers are checks, where you force the king out of the way so that you can snack on a piece behind it. In this classic combination, white sacrificed a rook to set up a pawn fork and draw the black king into a skewer. A final rook fork concluded this crushing tactical sequence. Interference is my favorite chess tactic, and it's likely the prettiest of all tactics. In interference, you sacrifice a piece to disrupt a defensive line for your opponent. One of the most beautiful moves of all time, Queen g6 check, forced checkmate in two because the queen sacrifice disrupted the rook's defense. As a result, white was able to capture with the knight and give checkmate on the next turn. A relatively uncommon pattern is the X-ray. This happens when an attacker sees through a defender to a square behind it. This particularly often happens in cases of back rank checkmates. Former FIDE world champion Rustam Kazimjanov used an X-ray from this rook to sacrifice his queen on d8, creating back rank tricks that won back the queen with extra material. Finally, the windmill is a glorious tactic, rare but exceptionally deadly. A windmill happens when a player plays a sequence of discovered attacks, moving a piece back and forth to check the king and then discover a check while picking off a piece. An effective windmill can consume an opponent's entire army, devastating them like a buzzsaw. White leaps in with the rook here and sacrifices an entire queen, but then the rook is able to alternate checks with the bishop on a3 and capture a bishop, pawn, and queen in turn. While the previous tactics were all about lines, this next set of tactics is all about squares. Chess is a game of squares after all, and disrupting your opponent's control over a critical square is often a winning theme in chess. In this section, you will see tactics based around pulling a piece to a key square, pushing a piece away from a key square, clearing squares, blocking squares, and controlling promotion squares. First, the decoy is a particularly fun theme where you lure an opponent's piece onto a vulnerable square where it can be exploited. Often this involves sacrificing a piece to set up some other more basic tactic, like a fork or a pin. A powerful hop-in from this black queen seeks to draw white's queen to d2. There, black can fork it while capturing this bishop. Another tactic, deflection, often looks very similar to a decoy, but it's the opposite case. Where a decoy uses a sacrifice to pull a piece to a vulnerable square, a deflection pulls it away from a key square. A deflection is also an example of a more general tactic, removing the guard or removing the defender. In this case, any manner of trickery is used to eliminate a defender that is holding a critical piece or square. Queen takes h7 removes the pawn defending g6, setting up knight to g6 checkmate. Overloading is also a tactic that is a specialized form of removing the defender. In this case, one piece is stuck trying to defend two threats. You simply execute one threat and the overworked piece can no longer defend the other. Both the king and queen are trying to defend the f1 square and the d2 rook. Knight to f1 overloads them both, and black is able to capture the rook on the next turn. Moving on from tactics based on overwhelming defenders, we have a clearance sacrifice. In this case, one of our pieces is on a critical square or line, and we sacrifice it to allow another piece to use that square or line with devastating effect. Bishop d4 was a stunning move from Chess.com's Pro Chess League that combined many themes, including interference to threaten mate on g7, and clearance to open the e-file for the rook to advance to e8 with checkmate. In some ways, the opposite of a clearance is a blockade. Here, our opponent needs a critical square or line, but we sacrifice a piece to clog that space. Had white captured on h5, black would have moved the pawn to attack the queen. defending by the skin of their teeth. Instead, white played the astounding blockade rook to d6. With no ability to free this bishop, black soon lost. The trapped piece is maybe the most self-explanatory tactic. Of course, the most important example of a trapped piece tactic is checkmate. Naturally, other pieces can be and often are trapped as well. In this pretty study, white surrenders seemingly the best asset in the position, the strong f-pawn, to maneuver the bishop around and trap the knight. Now white's king can simply march over and capture the hobbled horseman. Finally, promotion may be the most unique of all tactics. It's the only time in a chess game where new, powerful pieces re-enter the chessboard, so there exists a bevy of ideas that have a single goal: to promote a pawn to a new queen. In the Champions Chess Tour, Fabiano Caruana pulled out a classic opening trick against Alireza Firouzja. This rook sacrifice ensured that next move, the pawn would advance and threaten to promote on two different squares, leaving Firouzja no way to stop the appearance of fresh royalty.
Fabiano, he is cracking up over there because this never happens at the highest level.
After tactics based on lines and squares, we have tactics based on timing. In a game, you often have cases where you calculate a sequence of moves. I go here, she goes there, I go here, she goes there, I win. But sometimes a tactic can disrupt that flow and totally change the nature of the game. Our first timing tactic has 3 different and commonly used names, but they all mean the same thing. A Zwischenzug, intermezzo, or intermediate move is an unexpected move in between a sequence of moves that changes the outcome of a set of captures. The brilliant knight takes g3 sets up 2 different intermediate moves. First, after white captures black's queen, there's the royal fork, knight takes e2 check. Then black also snaps up the bishop with check while concluding by capturing the white queen. The excellently named Desperado is a tactic in which a doomed piece sacrifices itself for some gain. The piece is still lost, but the game may be won. Black expects white to capture the black queen, when black can also capture white's queen. But white plays an intermediate check, also called a Zwischenzug, to give up the queen for the bishop. Then white can capture the black queen and be a piece up. Zugzwang is a tactic usually relegated too late in the game. It means compulsion to move. In fact, if your opponent was allowed to pass, many positions, even king and rook versus king, could not be won. But the opponent must move, and sometimes all moves surrender key points. Zugzwang simply means that you have placed your opponent in a position where they have to make a move that worsens their position. King h1 is a stunner of a Zugzwang, one of the best moves of all time. Black must move the king or the bishop. They are fine where they are, but every single move will either let the pawn push through to promotion or walk into a knight fork that wins the bishop. Maybe the least known tactic on this list is the lifeline. This is often a defensive tactic, and it occurs when you are trying to defend against 2 threats. The situation is seemingly impossible, but you can defend against 1 threat and make a counter threat to the opponent. The opponent must capture your piece, and in doing so, they allow you to recapture with the other piece, saving both threats. International master Axel Smith coined this term, and in his book Pump Up Your Rating, he showed this example. Black escapes the knight fork with queen to f8. The trade of queens will also save the rook on a8. Our last set of tactics is drawing tactics. Sometimes the position is desperate and you seemingly have no way to save the game. But an incredible resource can allow you to eke out a valuable half point. The first drawing tactic is the perpetual attack. This is a bit like the trapped piece, but in this case you aren't able to actually win the piece. However, you can continually attack it, and your opponent is unable to escape the threats. Eventually, the game will be drawn after repeating the position 3 times. The study composer Votava showed an incredible piece of geometry, with a pawn sacrifice setting up a perpetual attack from the king against the black rook, securing a draw. The most common case of perpetual attack is perpetual check. This is naturally a case of perpetual attack against the opponent's king. Stalemate tactics are often in play to save positions when you are down oodles of material.
Hey, it's the Rosentrap.
In many cases, stalemates occur as a result of catastrophic inattention from the attacker, but sometimes they can be the result of great ingenuity on the defensive side. My favorite stalemate trick ever occurred in a computer game where bishop b3 allowed white to follow up by sacrificing the remaining pieces and securing a miraculous half point. Finally, and truly finally, a fortress is another defensive fallback where, down material, you are able to construct a shell that the opponent simply cannot break. Phew, 31 tactics in one video. Every chess tactic explained. How many were new to you? More importantly, did I miss any? If so, post them in the comments. If you are looking for puzzles to practice on, try chess.com/puzzles/learning, where you can pick any of these themes and train tactics at any level as much as you want. Good luck trying these out in your games, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more chess content.